Bernie Sanders has officially dropped out of the Democratic primaries, indicating that now the Democratic nominee in the general election will, in fact, be Joe Biden. Let's hear what Senator Sanders had to say.
I wish I could give you better news, but I think you know the truth. And that is that we are now some 300 delegates behind Vice President Biden, and the path toward victory is virtually impossible. So while we are winning the ideological battle, and while we are winning the support of so many young people and working people throughout the country, I have concluded that this battle for the Democratic nomination will not be successful. And so today, I am announcing the suspension of my campaign. Please know that I do not make this decision lightly. In fact, it has been a very difficult and painful decision. I know that there may be some in our movement who disagree with this decision, who would like us to fight on to the last ballot cast at the Democratic Convention. I understand that position. But as I see the crisis gripping the nation, exacerbated by a president unwilling or unable to provide any kind of credible leadership, and the work that needs to be done to protect people in this most desperate hour, I cannot, in good conscience, continue to mount a campaign that cannot win and which would interfere with the important work required of all of us in this difficult hour.
So Sanders has always been very clear about how important he finds it to beat Donald Trump. I'm sure that there was mounting pressure for him to drop out. We had seen some reporting in various, to be fair, establishment news outlets about how there were members of his own campaign urging him to drop out in order to coalesce around Biden. Now, we're going to go to the statements that he made about Biden in just a second. But John, before we do that, I wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, look, I think that there's probably behind the scenes pressure. We know that there was public pressure. I mean, virtually everyone on TV and in the Democratic Party has been implying that he needs to get out. He needs to get out ASAP. They were already basically like preemptively blaming him for Trump winning for staying in, even though he hadn't. And as you pointed out, I think on Twitter, he has now dropped out far sooner than Hillary Clinton did back in 2008 when she was running against Barack Obama. But it's also possible that he's looked at how the last few cycles of election days have gone, and he doesn't think that there's a path. I mean, the last time he was asked about this, a week or two ago, he said that there was a path. It was a slim one, but not much of a path. And it's a couple of months until, the next big set of elections, since so many have been postponed. And when you combine that with the crisis that's gripped the country, it is possible that he has made the calculation that it just wasn't going to happen, that he wasn't going to be able to do it.
So he talks a little bit about Joe Biden in this next clip, but he also talks about what he sees as the path forward for the progressive movement. Let's take a quick look at that.
Today, I congratulate Joe Biden, a very decent man, who I will work with to move our progressive ideas forward. On a practical note, let me also say this. I will stay on the ballot in all remaining states and continue to gather delegates. While Vice President Biden will be the nominee, we must continue working to assemble as many delegates as possible at the Democratic Convention, where we will be able to exert significant influence over the party platform and other functions. Then together, standing united, we will go forward to defeat Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in modern American history.
So he did not do like a full-throated endorsement of Biden, but I would argue dropping out now and referring to him as a very decent man, that's a strong statement. That is a strong statement, but that is what he says. But it doesn't matter what Bernie Sanders has to say about Joe Biden. The establishment is still going to criticize him for not doing like a full-throated endorsement, demanding that everyone like bow their head to Biden and talk about how incredible and wonderful he is. And then on the other hand, like, I'm really struggling. Believe it or not, I'm struggling more with this election than I did with the previous election in 2016, because for all the things that I disagreed with Hillary Clinton about, she was, of course, the eventual nominee, and I, held my nose and decided to vote for her because I did understand the importance of beating Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton did not have a sexual assault allegation against her. And so I don't know how I feel about well, I do know how I feel about this. And I know I'll be shamed for talking about how I feel about this. Is this very decent man going to address the allegation against him? That's what I want to know. I can't refer to anyone as a decent person until they at least acknowledge the accusation against them and at least provide some evidence for why this person is supposedly not credible. Because so far I haven't seen anything other than citations of a pro-Russia blog she wrote on Medium. Oh, wow, she thinks that Russia is a great country. Who cares? That doesn't immediately cancel out a very credible and detailed sexual assault allegation that she put out against Biden. But I know I'm the bad guy for even mentioning it, I'm sure.
Well, among many other reasons. But no, I mean, and that's why people were trying to get it to be something that was raised to Biden early and not later. Because here's the thing, it is going to be raised. Could have been before the primary was over. Now it'll be during the debates against Donald Trump, perhaps by Donald Trump, by the way, because if anyone who's a big Biden supporter thinks that he's just going to be too polite on the debate stage to bring it up, he's not going to mention it. Are you crazy? He's going to be talking about it. It might be the first thing out of his mouth when he stands on that debate stage with Joe Biden. And so it is going to be raised. We tried to raise it back when it could have been adjudicated, hopefully to everyone's satisfaction early on. And they avoided that. And so it will, like equivalent issues back during 2016, it will become a significant issue at literally the most dangerous time. That you can certainly guarantee.
So the other part of that video was where he mentioned the delegates. And I actually think, even though he's getting a lot of heat from Biden supporters for doing this, I think it's a smart strategy. Because what Bernie wants to do is accumulate enough delegates to apply political pressure on Biden. So he has to basically concede to some of the demands of progressive voters. I think that that's a smart strategy. He's trying to toe this line, Bernie is, between, appeasing his progressive base, which I think he will always do right by, but also ensuring that, he finds a path forward that ensures that Donald Trump doesn't get reelected. But at the same time, you have to consider that Biden himself as a candidate has significant weaknesses. So Bernie can fight as hard as he wants. The Biden supporters can fight as hard as they want. But ultimately, it's up to Joe Biden to deal with his weaknesses and his flaws in a way that would increase his base so he ends up defeating Donald Trump.
Yeah, look, I think Bernie is he's a smart guy, an experienced guy. I don't think that he picks his political strategies lightly or flippantly. And I'm sure that he acknowledges those flaws just as much as we do. He might not do it publicly quite as much, at least yet, but I'm sure he acknowledges it. And so he probably thinks that he has to do even more work. If he does believe it's as important as he says to defeat Donald Trump, and he understands how difficult a path that's going to be for Joe Biden, then that's probably one of the reasons why he's probably going to fairly early on work to get him elected. As, by the way, he has said that he will in interview after interview, debate after debate, question after question, article after article, stretching back for more than a year. Ad nauseum, they asked him over and over, no matter how many times he said it, and he is being consistent, as he always is, on everything.
So Biden tweets the following: "We know how hard this is. You have put the interest of the nation and the need to defeat Donald Trump above all else. And for that, we're grateful. But we want you to know we'll be reaching out. You'll be heard by me. As you say, not me, us." And then he continues to say, "And to Bernie's supporters, I know that I need to earn your votes," which, by the way, already that's more than Hillary Clinton was ever willing to admit or say, right? So he knows he needs to earn progressive votes. And I know that might take time, but I want you to know that I see you, I hear you, and I understand the urgency of this moment. I hope you'll join us. You're more than welcome. You're needed. So that's an admirable message. I'm going to be fair, but he has to put action behind those words. And look, I think I really don't want people to misunderstand me. For me, yes, he needs to cater to what progressive voters want if he wants to earn their vote. But even after that, the Democratic Party needs to address the allegations. They have to address it in a real way, because there are women out there who are uncomfortable casting their vote for any candidate, whether it's Trump or Biden, who has serious and credible allegations against them. So, look, I understand the importance of getting Trump out, but you also have to deal with your own personal principles, morality, and I have my own moral compass. So if you're going to come back at me with, Trump has multiple sexual assault allegations, Biden only has one, that doesn't make me feel any better. I just want them to address it.
Power is power, and they know how to pursue it. And the two issues that you just pointed out, the actual coming clean and addressing the allegations to whatever extent you can, as well as actually substantively courting the vote of progressives. You should not just do that because optically it looks good or because it might help you with that particular block of voters. You should do it because it's the morally correct thing to do, and also because it raises the chance that you'll actually win. And if that's what you actually want, and you're asserting that it is, then you should be doing these things. You should be at least as wise as Bernie Sanders is in pursuing this office that you say you want.
And I also want to just note that a number of progressive organizations like Justice Democrats and Next Gen America have put out a list of what they would like to see from the Biden campaign. Daniel Morans, who's a reporter from Huffington Post, tweeted about this, saying that Justice Democrats and Next Gen America and others urged Joe Biden in an open letter to court young voters with progressive policies. For so many young people, going back to the way things were before Trump isn't a motivating enough reason to cast a ballot. And their demands include 100% clean energy by 2030, government manufacture of generic drugs, half the number of incarcerated people, a wealth tax, and also a commitment to appointing officials who endorsed Bernie or Warren. So there are clear demands there. We'll see if there's actual action in proposing them, trying to accomplish them, as opposed to just lip service. But one thing that I will say, I guess, one piece of hopeful news or hopeful commentary is that Bernie and the movement that he's pushed for it's now gone beyond Bernie, right? So congressional races matter. Focus on that. Focus on getting progressives elected into Congress. I know that right now we don't have like a clear progressive leader for president in the future, but who knows what type of political talent we're going to develop or come across as this movement moves forward. It's not just about Bernie. I do think that it's important to keep fighting. I do think it's important to keep pushing the envelope when it comes to leftist policy proposals. And so let's try to focus on that and not allow this pretty heartbreaking day to stop us from the momentum that progressives have really created since 2016.
And I would say that, some people are going to need more time. I am not ready to just immediately today be all like, here's the next fight, let's go do it. I need a little bit of time to process it, and I don't think that that's wrong. But if you are ready to move forward, as Anna said, there are any number of candidates who are going to need your help. And more importantly than that, they need your help now more than they did yesterday and more than they did a month ago. Not having Bernie Sanders at the top of the ticket is going to hurt, primary contenders that might win their primaries and go on for good progressives, as well as the fact that because the coronavirus is going on right now in their primaries, they can't canvass. A lot of the sort of activity that allowed candidates like Ocasio-Cortez and others to win, they can't do. It's been cut off. And for those who can rely on name recognition and the money that they have, generally incumbents, that gives them even more of an advantage than usual, which means they're going to need your help. And as I say a lot, I know that a lot of people are probably feeling like, what's the point of any of this? Look what's happened, and just feeling like checking out. That is certainly what the
establishment wants. Mm-hmm.
And like I've said, if there would be no bigger failure for me personally, if the only thing I inspired you to do politically was to watch my show and support a president, honestly. And that's not true for everybody. You think Tucker Carlson cares if you ever protest, if you ever join an organization? No, watching his show is enough. And there are people like that online too. But no, you have to stay engaged. And if one door is closed, you got to go for another one, another door, a different window, something like that. There are lots of organizations and individuals that need your assistance, would be glad to have your assistance. And by the way, Bernie Sanders not done. So why should we be?
Yeah, that's such a great point. And we do want to hear from our audience about, where they stand. By the way, John's 100% right. It's totally okay to give yourself some time to process what's going on right now. I know that I'm there mentally. So for people who might be watching this thinking that, I had much more aggressive commentary. Just give me a moment. Like, I just need to really process what's going on and think through how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. And as this goes on, I'll be clearer with you guys about where I am. But we want to hear from you. So we do have a poll at tyt.com/vote. That's tyt.com/vote. We want to know who you're planning on voting for. So all the options are listed. A is Trump, B is Biden, C is someone else, meaning maybe you're going to write someone in, and D is not voting at all. So let us know what you guys think. Again, it's tyt.com/vote to participate in the poll, and we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.